أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المنتجبين المنتخبين لا سيما بعد أما بعد فقد قال سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وقرآنه الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الدين عند الله الإسلام. This is our 21st episode on the subject of and series of Shia'ism, the natural outcome of Islam. In the 20th episode, we have discussed about the role of AIMMAE AHLE in preserving the unity of Muslims and helping Islam and Muslims for the sake of Allah and Islam. And in that we have said that our next episode will be on the services of the ulama al-imamiyah in preserving the unity of Muslims. So in this connection we are here to present on this subject. We see that following the tradition and lines and schematic structure as laid down by AIMMAE AHLE and Al-Quran Sharif Al-Hamid Al-Majid, to seek unity between Muslims, seek unity between human beings. We find that ulama imamiyah also have dispensed their duties right from the time of Sheikh Saduq, Yaqub Al-Kulaini, Shiqatul Islam, to whom Mullah Muhammad Amin Astarabadi, the founder and writer of Fawaid al-Madaniyah, he has titled him as Imam al-Thiqatul Jalil, Sheikh Muhammad bin Yaqub al-Kulaini, followed by Sheikh Muhammad bin Ali al-Saduq al-Khummi, then his pupil Sheikh Mufid alayhi rahmah. And again, Sahib Fawaid al-Madaniyah, in his book Al-Fawaid al-Madaniyah, has written about Sayyid Murtaza Alam al-Huda as Imam al-Thiqatul Jalil and Imam al-Kabir. These all were the ulamas during their times. They studied from Sunni teachers in some subjects, as well as they had Sunni students and pupils, all Muslim. They were joining their bands. So there was nothing like Shia Sunni during that time. As how today we go for colleges, universities, we do not see who our teacher, professor is. And due to that interaction, there had been a good relationship between peoples of different sects, different groups, that enabled a close knitting of the society. And we see that in particular when we reach up to the time of 19th century, the era of 19th century, in which there was a need and requirement for the movement to run, we find that Ayatollah Shirazi, after his fatwa on the banning tobacco, we find around him there were both Sunnis and Shia scholars and the general masses, the public, they were with him. As well, whether in Iraq or in Iran, during the course of Islamic constitutional movement between 1906 to 1911, the 5 years movement, which one day demand, which required that in the parliament of Iran there should be one Mujtahid Jami Sharat who may be having to exercising power of veto. That if the parliament passes a bill and if this merja nulls and voids, it will get null and void. And this was under the leadership of Ayatollah Uluzma, Sayyid Muhammad Hussain and Aini. around him also there are the Sunni Shia Olama and masters behind him. That unity turned into victory. Then we find the Hizb al-Dawa that was founded by Shahid Bakr Sadr in 1957. It had, and also today it has, many of its Muslims who are from both sects and groups of whether Shias or Sunnis, and there are many of the Sunni ulama who gave their lives, who were martyred on the verdict of Shahid Bakr Sadr. Then we see that in 1963, the movement that started in Iran under the dynamic leadership of Ayatollah al-Uzma al-Marhum Sayyid Ruhullah al-Musawi al-Khomeini. We find that in Iran, the Shias and Sunnis together stood up against the oppression of the regime of the time, and still they are holding a strong hold in their unity. And after the victory of revolution, to strengthen the unity, we see that the call was given by Ayatollah al-Uzma al-Marhum Sayyid Ruhullah al-Musawi to remember, celebrate and organize the 5 days week of unity between 12th Rabiul Awwal and 17th Rabiul Awwal, taking the 12th Rabiul Awwal date of our brothers, who majority of them they observe, and 17th Rabiul Awwal the majority of the Shias who observe. Why I am using the word majority is that whether in the Sunnite world or in the Shiite world, both dates are recorded. In the Shia's books also, it is mentioned that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born on 12th Rabiul Awwal, and in the Sunnite books also it is mentioned that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born on the 17th of Rabiul Awwal. But it is unfortunate that under the under the colonialistic rule, and as well as the neo-colonialistic impression, even today, we have distracted from this very spirit, and one has taken 12th Rabiul Awwal and the other has taken 17th Rabiul Awwal. Now, Ayatollah Khomeini has declared these days from 12th Rabiul Awwal to 17th Rabiul Awwal as the days of Muslim unity, and based on that, across the globe, we see that the week of unity, which is called Hafta Wahadat, is celebrated. In the same way, before all this, we have to recall and remember Hujjatul Islam Jawad Shiri, who was the first migrant among the first migrants from the Middle Eastern place to the US in 1949, and he migrated first to Detroit. And he was very awakened alim, and he did his level best for the unity of Muslims. In that regard, he took the fatwa of ulama Jamiatul Azhar, Al-Azhar University, who gave fatwas. Number one fatwa is the first fatwa was taken by Sheikh, was taken at the pursuance of Jawad Shiri, and that was given by the rector of the Al-Azhar University, and the second was taken by the hard labor of Abdul Hussain Sharfuddin al-Musawi, the rector. During his time, Sheikh Shaltud gave a fatwa that as a Sunni Muslim practices 4 fiqh, Hanafite, Malikite, Shafi'ite and Hanbalite, and in practicing any one of them, he fulfilled his religious commitment, responsibility in front of Allah, and is answerable. So in the same way, one recognizes, and one should recognize, that as they can practice these 4 fiqh, they can also practice the fiqh of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salam, that is fiqh as-Sadiq alayhi salam. So we find there has been endeavors both from the Sunnite world and the Shiite world. We find in India that this much of the work has been done of the Muslim unity by Allama Muhammad Iqbal Lahori, and Abu Ala Maududi. That is the reason we see that after the victory of the revolution, the first foreigners and foreign scholars who visited to pay a visit, and they went to Iran and they paid visit to Ayatollah Khomeini. Among them were three Kurdish scholars of their times, and from the subcontinent those who went. In fact, the one who went was Abu Ala Maududi, Maulana Abu Ala Maududi Marhum, and then we see Professor Kalim Siddiqui, who was basically from Pakistan, migrated to the UK, and he was professor in head department of political science at London University. And the third person who visited Ayatollah Khomeini to greet him was Yasser Arafat, and the fourth known figure who visited to greet Ayatollah Khomeini was Ahmad Didat. Let me know among all these, who among those who went first to greet Imam Khomeini, Ayatollah Khomeini, who among them was a Shiite in them? None. Ahmad Didat, Yasser Arafat, Kalim Siddiqui Marhum, Abu Ala Maududi Marhum. So these are the people who went in the first batch to greet him. What all this shows? What all this shows? It shows that all Muslims by nature and all human beings, they urge to have a solidarity, unity and integrity within their ranks. And this is what Islam has emphasized for. Now therefore, after the demise of Ayatollah Khomeini, the annual celebrations of Ittihad al-Bain al-Muslimin are celebrated across the globe on the call of Ayatollah Khomeini and organized by recurrent calls from the present Rahbar Muazzam. Not only that, from the Rahbar Muazzam, and now the gap has also been closed at sometimes by misunderstanding. It was taken that these two are a different one in approach. But now the Unity Week is very much also emphasized, and unity is also emphasized very much from the Hawza Ilmi of Najaf al-Ashraf along with the Hawza al-Alaikum. And in Najaf al-Ashraf we see that a great stride has been made by the Marja Taqlid al-Ashr, Sayyid Ayatollah al-Uzma, Sayyid Hussein Ali Hussein al-Sistani. And this is shown, and this is evident, this is evidenced by the action which Shias and Sunnis together in Iraq have taken a stand against the blood-bathing organization which was sowed by the enemies of Islam, to which ex-president of the US Barack Obama said it will take at least 20 years to fight Daesh or ISIS. But we see just a fatwa of Ayatollah Sistani, how it enabled on one hand to destroy Daesh to its crucible pieces, and in what way Ayatollah Sistani's fatwa has safeguarded Iraq from the poison of sectarian poison. Whether it is the Sunni world or the Shiite world, what we find is following the lines of Quran Hakim, wal Majid, and AIMMAE Ahle Baitጽ the tradition followed by ulama of both Shias and Sunnis. This tradition has brought, alhamdulillah, an understanding to a very greater extent, especially in the Levants like Lebanon, Syria, Jordan. Then we see in Iraq, Iran, and now its results are being getting in line in Indo-Pak subcontinent also, like India and Pakistan. So those days of thinking I am Shia or Sunni are gone. Now we are thinking in terms of Muslims. First we are Muslims, and then whatever we are. So whatever comes to Islam, all the Muslims, whether Shias or Sunnis, for the sake of Islam, they need to require, and that has been a good practice that started. So we find that the Imamiyah school as well as the four schools of our brothers, they don't have such grudging feelings as they were before in the subcontinent. This feeling was in the subcontinent only, because in subcontinent very recently, up to 1947, the British have ruled. So the impact, the effect, the factors they left on our mental inclination, it left us to be apart at two different poles. But now, thanks to the efforts, endeavors of AIMMAE AHLE BAITص AIMMAE AHLE Tashayyu in Egypt, in Najaf and Qom. Of course, some ulama are in the subcontinent part of Pakistan, like the Tariq Jamil, Muhammad Ali Engineer, Maulana Ishaq Madani, and of course, to some extent, on the mystical lines, we see the one who is also trying for a unity and unification of Muslims is Dr. Tahir al-Qadri. It's not necessary that with their every word and action we need to agree with them, but for the sake of Muslims and at large, we find they are also worth mentioning names, and their works are to be remembered. Now, it is the duty of our coming generation is to preserve this legacy of unity of Muslims, especially from those who are educated and who have their hearts and minds open, they are broad-minded, and they know the pros and cons of disunity, so that we invite not only Muslims to get united, we need to get all human minds, irrespective of caste, creed and religion, to get united. Now the question arises in among people when they speak of unity. First, as we say and as we know, that charity begins at home. So whether in the Shiite world or in the Sunnite world, the unity should start first at our home front. Let all Shias be united. In the same way, all Sunnis, our brothers, they have also factions within themselves. Deobandi, Barelvi, Ahle Hadith, so on and so forth. So they all should first be united. We in our house also should be united. Then altogether we get united to invite the mankind towards the deen of Haqq, the deen for which Allah Azza wa Jal has said, Inna dina indallahi al-Islam. How can the unity we can achieve and we get? This will be my address in the 22nd episode, inshallah ta'ala in Ramadan. Till then, Khuda Hafiz, fi amanillah, fi hifdillah. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وسهل مخرجهم واحشرنا معهم وارزقنا شفاعتهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وسهل مخرجهم واحشرنا معهم وارزقنا شفاعتهم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وسهل مخرجهم واحشرنا معهم وارزقنا شفاعتهم.